throwing it off to Bray Tate as she interviews Daily Item reporter Todd Hummel. Bray, the floor is yours.
Hello, Todd.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right.
Ooh.
Like we just said, not too much to talk about this week, but we're going to start off with your picks last week. You went 2-2, split in the District 4 playoffs. So start off with Class 1A Muncie versus Lackawanna Trail. You picked Lackawanna Trail, and Muncie pulled out in a 47-46 win. What did you think about this game?
Well, first off, it sounded like it was a pretty fun one up there. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was at Scranton Memorial Stadium. I think that might have been where it was, but it was a back and forth game, and Muncie was able to make it. It kind of sounds weird in a game that was so many points were scored in, but Muncie was able to make an interception late in the game and get another touchdown that kind of gave them a 2-score lead, and Lackawanna Trail scored late to make it a 1-point game. But it's a great win for Muncie. It's their first state playoff win, I think, since 2019 or 2020. It was a great job by them. I mean, Austin Johnson's a real good running back. Obviously he's a great wrestler. He's going to Oklahoma State to wrestle for David Taylor, but he's a pretty fair running back too, and he's a 4-year starter. And they're playing really well right now. And we're at the point in the season you might as well just if you're going to win one state playoff game, you might as well win the rest of them and win a state title.
Yeah. Next, the Class 2A championship, Troy versus Warrior Run. You picked Troy, and Troy won 59-14. A little bit of a different game. What do you think about this?
Well, it was kind of interesting. You guys had Warrior Run coach Derek Zeckman on last week, and I said, as we were switching spots, I said to him to watch out for the quarterback run, and he kind of chuckled and said, "Yeah, we know." And they killed Southern with it, and the first two touchdowns for Troy. Warrior Run knew it was coming at some point, and the Troy quarterback was able to score 2 long touchdown runs early. I think he ended up with like 199 yards on 8 carries. And Troy ran for 574 yards in this game. And, Warrior Run had it to 13-7 midway through the second quarter and just never found their footing on defense to keep Troy off the board. It's kind of a sad ending for those Warrior Run seniors, but, they got to the school's first district championship game. Sam Hall wrapped up an outstanding career as the all-time leading receiver there. Had it, and ended up with 1,000 yards for the season in his senior year. And it's a team at Warrior Run that we'll probably be hearing from again next year. They have enough back that they should be in the thick of the AA race again.
Okay. And then the Class 3A championship, this is the one you were at, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we were Danville versus Lewisburg. You picked Danville, and Danville won 28-24. What did this game look like to you?
Well, I have had a lot of people ask me about this one this week because, I've come to the determination, I saw Southern last year win a state title where they drove 99 yards for the game-winning touchdown in the last 4 minutes of the game. That's probably the best game I've ever seen under the circumstances. But this one last week was pretty darn close. It was 14-6, and you're kind of thinking Danville's kind of taking control, and then all of a sudden, Lewisburg scores twice to make it 17-14. Danville answers that to take the lead again, and then Jeremiah Davis rips off a 77-yard touchdown run with 3:40 left to give Lewisburg the lead again, and Danville answered again and scored with 42 seconds left to take a 28-24 lead, and it didn't really leave Lewisburg enough time to score. And it was kind of one of those things that, you expected a lot of emotion on the Lewisburg side. It's a team that ended up 10-2 this season, and their 2 losses are to Shamokin team that finished 12-1 and a Danville team that's, still playing at 12-0. But there wasn't as much, I would say, tearful emotion as I thought, just to the sense that, there wasn't much more Lewisburg could do to win the game. It's not like they lost it. Danville kind of won the game. They had the ball last, and I think those kids realized it, and they realized what kind of effort they put into that game, and it was so fun to watch for everybody involved. My boss over at the paper, his son, I think, is in 9th grade, and he's kind of learning how to shoot photographs, and they were standing on the sidelines, and he looked over and he wasn't holding the camera. He was just watching the game, and he was like, "Well, I can't watch. I can't take pictures. I'm too nervous." It was just that kind of game. So it was a great game all around. It's a cliche to say it's sad somebody had to lose, but it was really sad that somebody had to lose. And we'll get into what's going on for Danville. But Danville right now, feels like that not only are they our best chance of getting to Cumberland Valley, but they feel like they have a pretty good shot right now.
And then the Class 4A final, Shamokin versus Juniata. You picked Shamokin, and this score kind of surprised me a little bit. Juniata won 27-7. What do you think about this game?
Well, this is the other game everybody was asking me about, because I think most people around here were pretty stunned by the result. Not only by the result, by the final score as well, at 27-7. But, and I feel like, because, we're not that close to Juniata, that was kind of the reaction around here. And you have to give credit to Juniata. They went out into a hostile environment. They probably played their best game of the season. This is a team that has won, the 3A or the 4A district title in District 6 for 5 straight years. This is their 2nd straight year into the quarterfinals. But Shamokin had 5 turnovers, got stopped inside the one at another time, and Juniata ended up throwing a 95-yard touchdown pass after that. And the Indians, I keep making the mistake of saying the Indians. They're both the Indians. Shamokin just played their worst game of the season, and Juniata was ready, answered the call. If you look at the stats, Shamokin was able to move the ball on them. They just couldn't score. And, it's kind of, the PIAA must have a bit of a sense of humor, because Juniata is playing in their state playoff game against Southern Lehigh back out at Shamokin tomorrow night.
And then, so that's what we discussed last week. This week we're going to first start off with the Class 1A. Muncie, they're 11-2, and you can correct me, DeLone Catholic? DeLone Catholic. They're 10-2. Who do you like here?
I'm going to go with Muncie, since they made me look bad last week. Just kidding. It's going to be interesting to see DeLone Catholic split or finish second in the York or the YAA Division III to Brandywine or Bermudian Springs, who Danville plays this week. And this is a team that hasn't had much success in the state playoffs. They have been the 2A champ a couple times out of District 3. Saw them once during Southern's run, where Southern handled them pretty easily. But Muncie's playing real well right now. We talked a little bit about Austin Johnson. Their quarterback, Styles Iyer, has thrown topped 1,000 yards passing the last 2 years, which is important in a team that runs the ball so well as Muncie. So I think Muncie's balanced enough to kind of get this one, and should be an interesting, I feel like, I think I said this a couple times when we talked about Lime Mountain. Whoever comes out of District 4 in Class A usually has a real good shot at a state title, though Fort Cherry has a Penn State recruit that's real good. So Fort Cherry is probably the favorite, but it wouldn't surprise me if Muncie makes it that far and gets a real good accounting of itself.
All right, well, we wish them luck this weekend. Next to Class 2A, Troy, they're 13-0, and Bedford, they're 10-3. Who do you like here?
I really think Troy's probably going to win the 2A state title. They're playing as well as anybody. I like Troy in this one. Bedford beat Steelton High Spire last week. Steelton, who was the back-to-back state titleist in Class A the last 2 years, got moved up because of the competition stuff to Class 2A, and they had a real hard time with Bedford's quarterback. He's a passer runner named Mercury Swain, just because I would like to say that name. But they had a little trouble with him, so Troy's going to have to watch out for him. But I think Troy's playing so well right now, and they have so many weapons that it's real hard to kind of figure out where the ball's going and who's getting the ball right now. So I like Troy in this one.
Okay, and then our final matchup, we have the Class 3A, Danville, they're 12-0, and like you mentioned, Bermudian Springs, they're 11-1. What does Danville have to do in this matchup?
So Bermudian Springs is a wing T team, kind of like Southern, but they can throw the ball a little bit. Their quarterback Lane Hubbard is up over 1,500 yards. I believe it's 21 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. It's going to be interesting. It's kind of an experience battle. This is going to be Danville's 5th straight appearance in the state quarterfinals. Bermudian hasn't been here since 1998. Talked to the Bermudian coach, John Livelsberger, a little bit this week. It's a group of seniors that kind of, since they were freshmen, came onto the scene, and they felt that they were going to have a chance to, put something together and be real good, but I'm not sure they expected it to get to this point, until maybe the midpoint of the season, and they've been playing real well. They opened the season with a loss to New Oxford, who was undefeated and is a 5A school, and since then they haven't really been tested until they got to the district playoffs. They're the Division III champion in New York Interscholastic League. I feel like, Danville's gotten to this round the last 2 years and run into a Wyomissing team that has made the state final in each of the last 2 years, and they've come real close. And it's a group of kids, I think, fairly or unfairly, is going to be judged on what they do over the next couple of weeks. And I think they feel like that this is one that they can get. And once they get past this, I feel like the sky's the limit for them. But it's going to be a tough matchup. It's a Saturday afternoon game. Both coaches kind of. I think Perk would agree with this. Football coaches are kind of, they like their routines. They're setting their routines, and these teams have played at 7 o'clock on Friday nights for the last 13 weeks, and now it's a 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon game. And I think they're a little concerned about how that's going to throw their kids out of sorts, and but it's going to be an interesting matchup. I like Danville in this one though, and I'm hoping they do win because I like my football season to last into December.
I hope so too. Well, thank you for joining us. This is our last PA Pigskin preview for the year. Thank you for being here all season.
Certainly. I think I've been on this show since they've started it. So
I think Jackson mentioned that.
Yeah, I think it was Mike McGlinchey who did it originally. I think
that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. But
he
probably has a wife and kid by now.
But yeah, Todd, once again, thank you very much. Thank you for always coming on each season. Never missed a show. Thank you so much. And
Certainly.
I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss these shows.
I hope so. We always have fun, and hopefully, somebody wants to keep it going next year, and we'll be back again.
I'm only a sophomore.
Oh, you're only a sophomore?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll see you next year.
I hope so.
Yeah, me and Jackson are handing off the keys to the Hummer to Bray.
All right. Season. I like that you guys think this is a Hummer.
Absolutely.
All righty.
Well, once again, folks, we will take our second ad break of the evening, and afterwards we have Susquehanna head coach Tom Perkovich having a chat with Bray. So don't go anywhere here on 88.9 The Pulse.
Support for WQSU and Riverhawk football comes from Buffalo Wild Wings in the Monroe Marketplace in Selinsgrove. Buffalo Wild Wings offers game day specials Thursday through Monday, plus bar food, lunch menu, burgers, wraps, and more. Buffalo Wild Wings is open 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday till midnight. Their phone number is 743-1402. More information and online ordering at buffalowildwings.com. Buffalo Wild Wings, a proud supporter of WQSU.
88.9 WQSU, The Pulse, the voice of Susquehanna University, and your number one for rock. Support for WQSU 88.9 The Pulse comes from the Charles Foundation and the Rook family. The Charles Foundation and the Rook family make it possible for WQSU to air specialty shows throughout the year. Thank you, Charles Foundation and the Rook family.
To Buffalo Wild Wings and the PA Pigskin Preview season finale here on 88.9 WQSU The Pulse. I'm your host, Matt Vargo, along with Bray Tate, and now we got Susquehanna head football coach Tom Perkovich. Coach Perk, thank you so much for stopping by again.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. And I'd just like to mention that Susquehanna is ranked 6th in the AFCA national poll and the D3 football poll. And correct me if I'm wrong, this stat somewhere about this is the highest in 35 years or somewhere around there. I just remember reading that somewhere. I couldn't get that into my prep or anything, but that's pretty impressive. But we're just going to start with last week at Lycoming. Susquehanna won 55-7. and presented the Landmark Trophy. What does this mean for the team to be able to win the conference 3 years, or Landmark the last 2 years and Centennial the year before, but winning the conference 3 years in a row and undefeated in the conference each year?
Yeah, it's a great accomplishment for our guys, our coaches, our program, our alumni, the whole thing. I think there's a lot of proud people, and but it's a lot of work. A lot of work went into it, and our guys have been really good at just staying focused at what they're doing, and to win is hard. To go undefeated, in conference is even harder, I think. Throughout your year, but 3 years in a row is really hard, and just proud of our guys, and the way they grab onto things and they handle what we ask them to do, and excuse me, and they love football. They love football. They love the university. It's just great to see them have the success we've had, and proud of our guys, and it's crazy to think that we've won as many games over the last 5 years that we have, and I think it's something like 48-5 or 6, and it's just amazing. Consistency's hard in college football with transient, guys graduating and those things, and the consistency just tells a lot about our players and our coaching staff and the work they put in on a yearly basis.
Definitely an impressive program, and we'll talk about guys graduating and everything a little later, but right now we're going to talk about the NCAA selection show that was on Sunday, and you and your team found out that you will have a bye week this week and then play Hobart next weekend. Hobart College, they beat Moravian 27-12, and Susquehanna beat Moravian 49-34. They beat Keystone 52-9, and Susquehanna beat Keystone as well, 79-6. So just some common opponents, and seems like should be a pretty good matchup. But what have you seen from Hobart College on film so far, and how's the team preparing?
Yeah, Hobart's really good. I think when you get to this point of the playoffs, everyone's really good. They're an overtime loss to a perennial top 25 team away from being undefeated. They're really good on defense. Very athletic, very active, throw a lot of different things at you, different coverages and things, and they've got a few players that are really problematic, and then offensively they're really efficient. They're going to try to run the ball, keep it controlled, keep them in good third down situations. And if you can't stop the run, they're going to just keep it going and keep it going. I don't think they've thrown the ball more than 20 times all year, in any game. So, they want to control the pace, they want to control the clock, play great defense, and as I told our players, they're happy beating you, 2017 or by whatever it is. They don't care about the margin of victory or anything. So they're gritty, they're good, they're going to be a tough opponent for sure.
Okay, and like we mentioned, bye week, so we don't have anything to quote-unquote look forward to for this weekend in games and everything, but the Landmark selection and awards were just released this afternoon, and just going to highlight those players to start off with. We have Garrett Carter as the Defensive Player of the Year, Josh Ehrlich, Offensive Player of the Year, Rashawn Lamont, Rookie of the Year. We talked about that earlier. But these three specifically, what have you liked from how they've played this season so far?
Yeah, starting with Garrett, he's been a multiple-year starter for us, kind of the backbone of our linebacker core, our box, and Garrett might have been the Player of the Year last year if he didn't get hurt late in the season. Was having an outstanding year there. He's a big athletic kid and works incredibly hard at what he's trying to do, and got named captain this year, which was a big step for him, and just proud of anything we've asked him to do, he's done. He's moved positions in certain games and those type of things, but his leadership and the way he plays and prepares really makes other people around him better. But he's a great player. He shows up, and everyone knows that you got to handle him in the middle of our defense, and he's made some great plays all year for us. Josh, I've said this a couple times in interviews, and I don't know if I've seen a kid improve this far in 1 year that Josh has. Last year, at this time of the year, we were pulling our hair out, to be honest. He had a good year. He ran the ball a lot. He did over 800 yards rushing a year ago, which you really don't want your quarterback to do unless you're maybe triple option, and we're not. It was tough for him to throw the ball. He wasn't seeing it great. He wasn't pulling the trigger on things, and we challenged him. He went to work in the offseason, and man, did he come out this year. It's just been unbelievable to see what he's done and the numbers that he's put up, and you look at him and you're like, wow, those are great. And then you start thinking about how many second halves and fourth quarters that he didn't play, and you're just, it just blows you away on the production with 28 touchdowns and 8 rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown. He's been just all over the place and much deserved. Not a lot of times you have 2 guys on your roster that were players of the year in different years on the same roster, so pretty cool there. And then Rashawn, everyone knows. I mean, he's, he might be the best freshman in the country. He just can change a game really quickly in a lot of ways, right? Whether it's running the football, obviously, with what he's done there, and he's a great guy out of the backfield and catching the football, and then obviously the return game. I mean, people stop. Our field position battle has been pretty impressive because no one wants to kick to us, so been able to take advantage of that. But those 3 guys have had great years, and they're well deserved. And we have probably a couple other guys that could be up for those awards, especially offensively, with what's kind of gone on. But I think Josh has really just killed it this year. His efficiency rating was crazy, and just really proud of him overall.
Of course. And coming up, we have a lot of names to mention, but I just want to highlight all of them. So we're just going to start off with the first team All-Landmark. Again, Rashawn Lamons, running back and returner. Chris Buchter, wide receiver. Kyle Howes, wide receiver as well. Rowan Hershey, tight end. Nick Gonzalez, offensive line. Eli Cantor, offensive line. And Hunter Shimko, offensive line. So what have you liked from your offense so far?
Well,
we kind of already discussed a little bit.
He kind of knows some of it. I think we've really grabbed on to a new coordinator, right? I gave up the play calling duties. Mike Wine's done a crazy job. He's just been right on with the game plans, and I'm involved. Obviously, I'm right there with him, and we just work together so well. And he's done a great job of giving people a lot of different looks, but in the end of the day, we got the ball to the right people. I think that was what our goal always is. You see our best players having the biggest numbers and keeping people off balance, and we've thrown a lot at our guys. We throw some new plays, new concepts, new ways to look at things, and they've just grabbed onto it and taken it and run with it. And week after week, it's not, I've done that other years and it's not been great. You pull your hair out a little bit, but this group's been awesome just to see their production. I mean, we're the number 3 offense in the country, right? We're 48.5 points a game. Those are also school records that, will get posted at some point when we're done. We're top, 11 or 12 in third down percentage. This season, you got to do it in the postseason, but been really proud of how our guys have just day by day grabbed on to what we're asking them.
And then the rest of the first team All-Landmark, we have Brian Layton, defensive line. Jake Schultes, defensive line. Drew Robinson, linebacker. Jesse Roosh, linebacker. Andrew Wells, defensive back. And Stephen Williams, defensive back as well. Can you talk a little bit about your defense so far this season?
Yeah, we've had our ups and downs, We're still really good, though. You look at us statistically, comparative in our conference. I think we were number 1 in maybe scoring defense in the end of the year, and number 1 rush defense, and second, I think, by maybe a yard or 2 in total defense. Is it the numbers maybe we've put up in other years? No, but we're also more explosive on offense. So those guys are out there faster. They're playing more, and look, they, the coordinator changed late in the summer, and those things, no matter how you look at it and those things, there's going to be a transition period, and I think there was some of those things in there, and there was some plays we didn't make as well as we needed to, but I think we've made a lot of great plays. Guys have played super hard. We've played together. We've stayed focused, and I think that they really the bye week was good for them late in the season in Week 10, and they came out, played great against Laco. So I'm hoping we can carry some of that momentum. And but we got great players. We need to make a few more plays, but I've been really pleased with the growth of the defense, and as they get to know a new coordinator and those things. But they're playing together really well.
But you can use this bye week as to your advantage again as well.
For sure.
And then the second team All-Landmark, we have Mark McFadden, offensive line, Tim Persons, defensive line, and Latrey Bond, defensive back. And then we also have honorable mention, Christian Colacerdo for specialists. I noticed Dom was kicking some PATs. How is he feeling Christian's role a little bit in that? Because I know Christian was normally kicking the extra points and everything. What's that change, and how is that different?
Yeah, I mean, Christian was struggling a little bit, and we've had the conversation. Between he and I, and obviously, he was struggling with some extra points and a couple field goals there, and unfortunately hasn't had as many opportunities as he had a year ago. In those situations with what we've done offensively, and he's been punting it really well. So, and Dom's been right on his heels, right? We talk about competition in our program all the time. Like, you got to consistently compete. Just because you started 1 week or 5 weeks, you got to keep competing and you got to keep performing. And he just was off, and that happens as a kicker. Kickers sometimes like golf, and you get the yips, as they call it, right? And it's tough. And Christian continues to work, but it was time to maybe make a change, and Dom's been pretty solid there, and it allows Christian to focus on the punting and obviously be there on whatever we need him to do as a backup. But he handled it great. He handled it very maturely, and it allows us, I think, to stay focused on what we're doing. But just a change that needed to be made, in our program.
Sounds good. And we just mentioned all these awards and all these different mentions throughout. Everyone in Division III sees this. What does this say about the caliber of your team being able to sweep all these landmark awards and being presented all of them?
Yeah. Well, it's obviously, it's just validation of the hard work that's put in and the talent we have, and the guys that have come and believed in what we're doing and given us a chance. As I tell them, right, you gave us a chance to coach you and come to Susquehanna, and really proud of the guys and grabbing onto that, and just the caliber, I think, of our team. And but it's great to see them get recognized, and I tell them also, though, that all these awards wouldn't be possible without all your teammates, right? I think, we understand that, like, the quality of your team matters when it's player of the year. It's all conference, it's all region, it's all American. Like, not a lot of guys on 2 and 8 teams, are going to garner those awards. So depending on your position, for sure. But, a lot of the success that guys are having and the recognition is also team award. If you're on a good team, you're going to get more of those things. And so I think that's the part that our guys don't miss and understand. And, really proud of the fact that they do understand that, because, when you're individual awards, it can get selfish a little bit, right? And look at me, and our guys haven't been that way at all. They understand that, it's a team, it's partly a team deal. Obviously you played well on a good team. That's part of it, but, it wouldn't be possible without the guys around you. So that's where I'm at.
We mentioned a lot of seniors, a lot of graduating seniors. How have they changed this program? What aspect have they brought to this program? How have your relationship formed with them the last 4 or 5 years, depending? And how can this program adapt to them graduating?
Well, we've been able to kind of keep it rolling, throughout some of the graduation, and that's the player development part of it for us. But we're going to lose a great group, for sure. The fifth years that lost their freshman year of COVID, the seniors that got recruited during COVID and came here through some interesting visit times and that stuff that you were doing there. But they've poured their heart and soul into our program, and I know they're excited for a chance in the playoffs here, and we'll miss them dearly, and miss their leadership and the way they've kind of built the team, right? The younger guys always look up to those older guys, so the way they've taken those young guys in and really made it a family and a team. But we'll definitely miss them. I mean, there's some guys that'll be Hall of Famers here, some Ring of Honor, teams and Ring of Honor guys, and I think that's it's going to be sad to see them go, especially when you recruit them and you see them graduate, which is great, and the success they've had, right? I mean, 3 straight titles is hard, and the success is great, and they're going to remember it forever. They'll probably remember each other more than maybe the success, but the success is what made it great a lot of times. So we'll miss them, but the program will go on, and we'll get on the road recruiting and work on the off-season stuff with our guys and meet with them on what they need to do to get better, whether they're returning, if they're returning, and whether they're starters for us now, or we hope that they can be in the next fall. But we'll go out and recruit some really good players, as you saw with some of our freshmen that we have this year. That's the lifeblood of your program, and we've been able to do that and have good depth and all the things that help you, throughout a season with injuries and stuff. But, we're going to be, working really hard at continuing to move our program forward. But we will miss them. But, they know that the program's in good hands, and the guys coming back will do their damnedest to get back to where we are this year. Each and every year, they've set the tone now. This group set the tone big time with championships and playoff appearances. So, there's big shoes to fill, but I'm confident our younger guys will do a good job.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I wish you luck on the rest of your season and next weekend at home with Hobart. So,
yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Hobart's a great team. It's going to be a fun ride, and let's go Riverhawks. Hope it's a long run.
Yeah, I'm one game at a time, right?
Yep.
It's survive in advance, as we know, and tell all your friends to come back early from break, please, and come to the game. It's one more day in the dorms. Don't worry.
Yep.
You're almost home on Christmas break. It won't kill you. So, get back, support the Riverhawks in a huge game, and let's try to pack our stadium up and use the home field advantage to help us advance.
Absolutely. Thank you once again, Coach Perk, for joining us. And we'll segue into our last ad break of the evening, where we will have our roundtable discussion here on 88.9 The Pulse. Let's close out this show strong. We'll be back right after the break.
Welcome back to the WQSU-PA Pigskin Preview. I have now switched places with Vargo. I'm Jackson, your host for the last segment here for this roundtable with myself, Bray, and Vargo. And it's our last one. Vargo, how you feeling?
Feeling good, but there's a lot of mixed emotions right now, man. What more can I say?
So the last 11 or so minutes here left for mine and Vargo's career here on the PA Pigskin Preview before we officially hand it off to Bray. But nonetheless, we got some football to talk about. So, Vargo, we'll start with the Susquehanna Riverhawks as you just talked to Coach Perk. What are your predictions for this second round playoff game?
Well, I think it's going to be a good game, obviously. Hobart's a really strong team. Defensively, they are stout. They've got 3 linebackers who are really the heart of the defense. I think they all have over 70 tackles on the year. And their secondary is also very good in the passing game. I think they have 3 guys over 3 interceptions on the year, so it's going to be hard to throw on them. And obviously, in terms of the run, it's going to be hard as well. Their front 7, like I said, is stacked. I think that early on they have to get a lead if they really want to win this game, try to get Hobart out of rhythm, because they have a really good running back. E.J. Taylor, he's a 1,000-yard rusher in his own right, and I think if you can neutralize him, get a lead early, and really force them to be a passing team, which is what they're not really comfortable doing. Like Coach said, they've only thrown the ball maybe over 20 times once, if that, all year. I mean, their quarterback only completes 57% of his passes, so if you get him in pure passing situations, then you'll sign up for that, given the shaky completion percentage. 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions overall for him as well, under 2,000 yards passing. So eliminate the run, get out to a big lead, get up to maybe, 17-3, something like that, mid-second quarter, make them panic a little bit, and I think from there they'll be fine. I do think they'll win the game. Obviously, we got the homer in us. I'm going to say Susquehanna 31 and Hobart 21.
All right, Bray, any thoughts here for Hobart and Susquehanna? I know a little over a week.
I don't know. I'm nervous. I just want them to win. I'm not giving a prediction. I'm not giving anything. I just want Susquehanna to win.
Absolutely.
I think it'll be good for those guys.
That's I think what everybody here is hoping. I didn't get to do too much research on them, but just looking down their box score, one thing that sticks out to me is their first game was against Alfred University, and I actually have a former high school teammate that plays up there. He came out in that one 10-7, but certainly looks like a lot of low-scoring games. Definitely probably don't have as strong of an offense as Susquehanna does, so I think that'll be the difference in this one. I'd say Susquehanna wins this one by 2 scores. Just make it a good one. I say they win 35-21.
What's actually interesting about this is that if they beat Hobart, and again, knocking on wood, hoping that happens, they're on the same side of their region as St. John's, which is a college based out in Minnesota, and they're like a consensus top 5 program in a lot of people's eyes. And all I got to say is that I wish I would have been able to travel for that one, because I went to Minnesota before. It's a great place, and in the hypothetical whole world where that happens, let's spoil the Minnesota party. Minnesota nice is a real thing, and let's spoil it over there if it happens.
Let's hope this could be the start of a run to a national championship here out of our Riverhawks. But we'll move up to the Division I level, where Penn State, 9-1, will be traveling to Minnesota in its own right there. And
Love it. Love the Minnesota pride right there.
Taking on the 6-4 Golden Gophers. Vargo, thoughts on this Penn State-Minnesota matchup?
Penn State, again, back at number 4. I believe it's through week 3 of the college football playoff rankings, is very impressive, as is. This college football season has been really weird. No traditional powerhouse outside of, I guess, maybe Oregon. Oregon's my favorite to go all the way, obviously. I like their coach. I like the way they carry themselves. They've obviously beaten Ohio State, but back to Penn State. Minnesota, I mean, they're 6-4, which is not a super intimidating record, but I just feel like they're dangerous, They're only 7th in the Big Ten, but they beat USC back when we thought USC was really going to be something. Michigan, who we also thought was going to be something, only beat them by 3 points. So they're obviously going to be a very tough out. They beat Illinois back when Illinois was ranked. I don't believe they are anymore. So they've got a lot. They've also got nothing to lose. And must I bring up, back in 2019 when we thought Penn State could make a run at the college football playoffs, where did the dream die? In Minnesota, 27-24. I remember it. It was a tough pill to swallow, and this Minnesota team, I see a lot of that previous team in this one, maybe not record-wise, but I think they'll win this game. I think that the Ohio State trap is already passed, and that's obviously their big bugaboo these past few years. I'm going to say they win it 38-24, and then hopefully close out strong against Maryland and on to the playoffs.
Totally agree. I think that this could end up being the roadblock to Penn State making that expanded playoff. So if they were to suffer a loss here against the Golden Gophers, just looking at it, Penn State wraps up the season with Maryland. Minnesota beat Maryland 48-23 just 3 weeks ago. So this Minnesota team is a lot better than I think that 6-4 record may indicate. Kind of in the middle of the pack there in the Big Ten. Suffering those losses, like you mentioned, Michigan. They lost to Iowa. Lost the opener to North Carolina, which is a pretty good out-of-conference matchup there. But I think Penn State's going to kind of ride the wave here, keep this going. I just think the way this team is playing, I don't see there's a way that they're not in that college football playoff, especially with, a couple, I guess that's like 8 years ago now when they, were robbed of the 4-team playoff. And, just going based off that, I think this Penn State team is motivated. I think they're going to get this job done, and I think they need to get a little bit more respect from, people around the college football world to get that first-round playoff game. So I say they win this one. We'll go 28-14. I think it'll be a little bit of a lower-scoring game, but still a little bit comfortable.
Okay.
Next one we're going to look at, I do want to talk a little bit about that Ohio State-Indiana game quickly. Vargo, thoughts on that one and what could make or break Indiana's season?
I've always said this from the very beginning. I just think Indiana's cupcake, their schedule is not very intimidating. I mean, if you look back at a lot of the teams they played, UCLA, not anything to write home about. Maryland, kind of the same deal. Northwestern, Nebraska, I mean, they beat Colorado, which is alarming that happened. It doesn't feel real. They beat Michigan by just 5 points, and Michigan's a really average team, as we know now. They don't even get the benefit of being at home. They got to go to Columbus in order to play this game. I'm in the minority here. I think this could get rough, really, really rough for Indiana. It's been a great feel-good story overall. I can't recall the last time Indiana was this good, this sustained for this long of a period. But I think Ohio State is playing with house money. They're going to be rematching Oregon in the Big Ten championship, and I think it's going to be a rout. I'm going to go 41-20 Ohio State.
Yeah, so I think this is a very interesting matchup. It's tough for me to come up with to make of Indiana. To go 10-0 is an accomplishment. It's tough to do at a Division I level. You got to, be at a high level of play all year, and they've taken care of business pretty much week in and week out. But like you said, this Ohio State team's probably still just that tier above them. I think if Indiana manages to keep it close, I think they're going to continue to have some respect, and look towards the playoff. But I think if Indiana gets blown out here, I think the committee will take a 2 or 3, even 3-loss team out of the SEC over a 1-loss Big Ten school that doesn't have a conference championship. So I'm on the side with you. I think Ohio State does take care of business, but just because I'd like to see a more competitive game, I'm going to say Ohio State wins by a touchdown.
Yeah, even if Indiana loses by 10 points, I don't think it's man overboard for them, because when Penn State lost them by 7 in a game where they didn't even score an offensive touchdown, I think they only dropped 4 ranks overall, and then so be it. Teams up in front of them fell apart, and here they are back again. So it's not like a death blow or anything if it's like that.
Yeah, only way I think this could end Indiana's hopes of making that playoff would be a blowout. So definitely going to be something interesting to see. We're going to move up to the NFL level now, a game that is currently on tonight here for Thursday Night Football. The Pittsburgh Steelers sitting at 8-2 against the Cleveland Browns sitting at 2-8. Pittsburgh's up 3-0 with 10:53 remaining before the half. Fargo, Chris Boswell hit a 48-yard field goal, so the kicker love continues there. But
that's right.
Fargo, thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers? What continues out of this one?
You love the kicker love, because I surely wasn't having any of it last Thursday night with the Eagles. But I think the Steelers are going to win this game. Cleveland's just not good. They had their fun little moment with Jameis in the lineup replacing Deshaun. I think they've been blown out twice since that game. And I'll keep riding with the Steelers because I was the only one who called them last week to beat Baltimore. Like I said, they play ugly. It's not very pretty, but Russell Wilson does just enough. The defense is legit. Boswell is as clutch as it gets. I think this will be a rare Pittsburgh blowout. They haven't had many, but I'm going to say they're going to win it 24-7 over Cleveland tonight.
Bray, your thoughts on one of your favorite teams, I guess.
Okay. Jackson hates on the fact that I don't have a specific NFL team.
You might as well just ride with them, because the Niners ain't anything to ride home about.
All right, whatever. But I agree. I can get down with Vargo's score prediction there. Like you said, Boswell just made a 48-yarder. I think it might be snowing there a little bit. Kind of looks like it, looking at it on the TV here. I mean, I think the Steelers should win. I think they will win, but it would just be the most Steelers thing ever, if you will, to lose to a 2-8 team. It's the Browns.
Of course.
At
and
that.
A Browns team that got beat by the Dallas Cowboys early on, and we all know how
Yep.
the Cowboys season has gone to this point.
Yeah.
But I got to go with you guys here as well. The Steelers, I gained a lot of respect for them last week. They won with that defense. They won with that kicker. No matter what the offense does, it seems that they just continue to pick up wins, even though they also lost to the Dallas Cowboys earlier on in the season. So
Yeah, what is going on here?
I think Pittsburgh comes out in this one. I think they'll improve to 9-2, and I think they're going to look to make that run, win that division into the playoffs. Quickly, Vargo, we got the Eagles and Rams this week. Thoughts on this one?
This is an underrated big game for both sides. If Philly wins, you keep pace with Detroit if you win. Lose, it's not man overboard, but you're all right. The Rams are fighting to stay in playoff contention. If you fall to 5-6, because Washington's the 7th seed and they're 7-4, and they're playing the Cowboys this weekend, so you would assume that they're not going to lose any ground. So, underrated big game for both sides. I really like the way the Eagles have been playing recently. It's going to be a close game. I think I'm going to say an overtime walk-off Jalen Hurts touchdown drive. I'm going to say 29-23 over the Rams.
Bray, thoughts on the Eagles and Rams this week?
I don't have much to say. I don't have much to add. I also agree. I think this is going to be a close one. I mean, the Eagles are 6-0 since Sirianni shaved his head.
That's right.
So Harrison's throwing up his fist behind the camera. I don't know. What do you have to say, Jackson?
I think the Eagles take care of business. Looking at the rest of that schedule, nothing really stands out. You got that Steelers matchup later on down the line, and the Ravens are a solid team. But outside of this one, there's not much left for Philly to prove. I think they'll take care of business here and take this one probably by 2 scores. I think. I don't know how much I believe in the Rams. The Eagles have just been playing so much better football, I think, since the start of the year. But with that, I guess this is the final goodbye. Vargo, any last thoughts and well wishes you'd like to give out before we sign off?
Shout out Alex Hare for bringing this back. Couldn't have done it without him. Shout out you, Jackson, for being the GOAT for these past 2-3 years. And Bray, you got the keys to the kingdom. It's yours now. Thank you for being the best.
Bray, any of your thoughts here as we continue?
I feel like thank you, Jackson, for getting me involved in all this stuff. It's been fun.
Happy to help. Vargo, thank you for stepping up along with me the last 2 years. Definitely do want to send my well wishes and thanks out to Alex for this was kind of the big draw to me to get me involved in QSU. So it's been an honor to be here. Bray, thank you for stepping up and hoping to continue it next year. Thank Adam as well for stepping up a couple weeks this year when I wasn't around. Harrison for being the best tech guy in the world here at QSU.
AJ and Liam.
And our board ops all season long. Sebastian for helping produce this show. Wouldn't be able to happen without them back in the studio.
Don.
And our general manager, Don, once again giving us this opportunity and the facility here. I want to thank Buffalo Wild Wings as well for allowing us to do this show here the last 3 years. It's been an honor. Hopefully we look for another state-recognized award here in the spring. But I guess that's it, and we'll call it there. So thank you for listening here on WQSU 88.9 The Pulse. I was Jackson, your host, alongside Matt Vargo and Bray Tate. And for the final time, for me and Matt, and until next year for Bray, thank you for listening once again here on 88.9 WQSU.